The M100 is an easy to use mirrorless camera, perfect for those that are wanting to step up from their smartphone or compact camera. If you haven't already seen it, make sure you check out the first video in the series where I spoke through some of the more basic features of the camera. But in this video, I'm going to talk through some of the more advanced features to really help you get the most out of your new camera. So let's get started. So what is AV mode? AV mode controls your aperture, which in turn is going to control our depth of field, which is how much is in focus throughout our shot. I'm going to use this very simple demonstration here to show you how when we select a low aperture number, for example, f2.8 or f4, we have a very shallow depth of field. When we select a higher number, we can achieve a greater depth of field by having everything in focus. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we select AV mode on our camera. Next, I'm going to use this control dial on the top of the camera, and I'm going to set the lowest number possible, which at the moment is f5.6. Now, when I focus on the first thing in the foreground, you'll notice when I take the shot, the first item is nice and sharp, and as we move through the background, they get softer and softer. If I do the same shot but I increase the aperture, so for example, let me take this up to f20 and I take the same image, you'll notice that everything is sharp right throughout the shot, from the foreground through to the background. This would be great, for example, if you were shooting landscapes or perhaps something that you wanted to maintain as much detail right through the scene as possible. One of the other great features of the camera is being able to control the shutter speed. Now the shutter speed is controlled within our TV mode, so we're going to do a little demonstration with that now. First thing you need to do is change it from AV mode to TV. So I'm going to use the touchscreen on the back of the camera and I'm going to select TV, which will control my shutter priority. In this example, I'm just going to use this little spinner and I'm going to control how much motion we capture in the shot. The first shutter speed that I'm going to select is a very fast one, so I really want to see if I can freeze the action. As you can see there, at 1/1000th of a second, I was able to really stop that motion and freeze it in action. This is great if you have anything fast moving that you're wanting to photograph. Now, on the other end of the scale in TV mode, if I slowed that shutter speed right down, then I could capture all of the movement that's happening in the scene. So imagine you're photographing a beautiful waterfall and you wanted to have that nice flowing water effect. You would need to do so on a much slower shutter speed. So I'm going to do that now by selecting a low number. I'm going to move this down to 1/30th of a second. And we'll take the same shot as an example. You can see by looking at these two images, one, we've really frozen the action, and the second one, we've been able to capture all of that motion blur that's happened through the scene. So that's TV mode. Not only can we take a standard movie, but we can also do a time-lapse movie mode. Let me show you how to set that on the camera. When the camera is in movie mode on the top mode dial, simply press this button on the top left. You'll see the different options that you have within movie mode. The first one is movie with auto exposure, which will automatically adjust the settings for us. The second option we have is manual movie mode. This is great if you want to have control over your shutter speed and aperture in the movie mode. But the third one we want to talk to you about today is time-lapse movie mode. So when I've set the time-lapse movie mode, I need to make a few adjustments to the intervals and the amount of shots that we're going to take. To do that, I simply press this little button down here and I can control how many shots we take, the interval between each frame, and the camera will automatically work out for me the time that's required to photograph this time-lapse movie, and second of all, the playback time of the total movie. Now that those settings are set, I can simply sit back, take the shot, and the camera will automatically create that time-lapse movie for me. One of the really great features about the time-lapse movie built into this little camera is the camera will automatically put that together and build the time-lapse movie for you. So you don't have to spend hours on the computer with additional software creating the movie, the camera will do it all for you. When you're in the AF method mode, you can change between your auto-focusing system. You can either go for face tracking or you could go for a single point focus. These are two very different options that will allow you to focus on your subject the best way possible. If you're photographing a person in the shot, you might go for face detection, whereas if you're photographing a still life object, a single point focus would be best. Moving down from that, you have your AF operation. When you're in the AF mode, you have two options in this camera. The first one is one shot, which is perfect for focusing on any subjects that aren't moving. The second option is servo. Servo is perfect for focusing on subjects that are moving. So if you have a fast moving subject that you're trying to track, I highly recommend using servo mode. It will really help you and your camera to focus on your subject faster. If we continue to move down this menu system, you'll notice there is an option there for shooting in RAW or JPEG. This camera can also shoot in both of those options at the same time. If you're wondering which mode is best for you, RAW is a completely uncompressed image. It's a much larger file, but it's ideal if you're planning on doing any post-processing. It contains a lot of data and information, whereas the JPEG is a compressed image, but it also helps you get the most out of some of those built-in camera settings like the white balance or the picture styles. So have a little think about it. If in doubt, you can always record in JPEG and RAW at the same time. The next mode down is to control our different settings for movie mode, so we can shoot at a variety of different frames per second and resolutions for movie mode. Below that, we have the single shooting and continuous shooting. If you are shooting something that is fast moving, then continuous shooting mode will allow you to take multiple shots as your finger is pressed down onto the button. And as you can hear, it's firing off a lot of frames per second. If you have a fast moving subject, you might consider using continuous shooting mode. As you hold your finger down on the shutter, it will take multiple shots per second. Now, you've probably taken hundreds of photos and you're wanting to know how to playback, review those images, maybe even delete some. To review the images, we simply press this little blue playback button on the back of the camera. Now that your image is on the back of the screen, one of the great things that I love to do is the pinch zoom, so I can check the detail in the image. You can also use the touchscreen to scroll left and right to review the images. And if you're not happy with them, simply use the blue trash can, which is located on the up key, and select to erase that image. Make sure you check out the full range of EFM lenses to maximize your shooting potential with this camera. I hope this video has helped you get to know a little bit more about your EOS M100.